welcome back to my channel. I'm Rachel, the owner and creator here at the Eclectic Cottage in Spokane, Washington. I know it's been a minute. I wanted to take just a little bit of time before we get into today's video to kind of explain to you guys where I've been. Unfortunately, my husband had a mild stroke a few weeks ago. He was in the hospital for a few days. Physically, mentally, he's okay, but it really severely affected his vision. So we have had, as you can imagine, a lot of appointments, a lot of running around, a lot of change, and just a lot of stress in the last few weeks. And so it's just been a lot. So I needed to kind of take some time and, okay. So finally getting back into some sort of a routine, I guess you could call it. Trying to stay positive. I have to tell you guys, my husband's amazing. If it were me and the roles were reversed, I don't know if I could be as upbeat and chipper as he is every single day. He is bound and determined that he is going to get his sight back and that things are going to go back to normal. And God willing, that's exactly what's going to happen. In the meantime, I really needed to focus and get back to work. And so I concentrated on getting a couple projects done for today's video. So for today's video, I have two thrift flips for you. One is kind of a continuation of one that I had started a while back. I hope you guys like both of the projects for today. And without further ado, let's get to today's video. My first project for today is this cute little wooden phone stand that I picked up at a yard sale a while ago. I am going to be painting this with Sweet Pickins milk paint, and while it doesn't require me to sand my piece down completely before I start painting, I do want to give it a very nice cleaning before I start. So I am washing this really well with some KrudKutter first, just making sure to get all the goo and grime off of it. And once I'm done and I've got it pretty well cleaned, I am going to rinse off any KrudKutter residue with some clean water. So I just use my mister bottle and then go over it again to make sure that I don't have any residue left behind that might interfere with my paint sticking. Once it was nice and clean and dry, I went ahead and started painting. And this is Oh Olive. Again, this is Sweet Pickins milk paint. And for this piece, I used Extra Bond just to make sure that my paint would stick really well. It's kind of got a little bit of a shiny finish, and I didn't want to leave out the Extra Bond and then end up with half of my paint chipping off. That is not the look I wanted for this phone stand. Now, if you've never used milk paint before, it is a powdered paint that you mix with water. It's 1 part water to 1 part paint. And then if you really want your paint to stick, or if you're worried about the surface being too shiny, you can add in what's called Extra Bond, which is a binding agent that makes this paint stick to just about anything. I did end up going over this with 3 coats of the paint. The 3rd coat was just to cover up a couple shadowy areas that were left and to make sure that I had a really nice thick coat of paint on it, because I knew I wanted to sand it smooth when I was finished. Once my paint was completely dry, I took it outside and I used my little rotary sander on its lowest setting with some 220 grit sandpaper to go over all of the flat surfaces to make sure that I didn't have any chunks left behind by the paint and that everything was nice and smooth. I'm also doing just a little bit of distressing during this step. I wanted to bring back some of that beautiful dark wood color from underneath this Oh Olive paint. Once I sanded all the areas I could reach with the palm sander, I went ahead and grabbed a piece of 220 grit sandpaper and just went over everything else by hand. Also doing a little bit more, just stressing especially on the legs and around the edges. Once I was happy with how my piece was looking, I brought it back inside and wiped it down really, really well with a damp shop towel. I knew I was going to be adding transfers to this piece, and you definitely don't want to leave any sanding dust where you're going to be putting transfers. The transfer set that I picked for this little phone stand is called Bouquet de Provence. It is a midi-size transfer by Redesign with Prima. So you get 3 8.5 by 11 sheets with this transfer set. Now I'm currently out of this one on my website. However, if you like the look of yellow flowers and you want to do something similar, I do have a couple other options. One is one of the brand new ones called Belle Epoque Blooms, and the other one is from the last release called Yellow Bliss, and those are both available in my website at www.theeclecticcottagespokane.com. Now, once I had all my pieces cut out and figured out where I wanted to place them, I went ahead and started with the big transfer on this side. And as you can see, I peeled back part of the backing and then just stuck the very top portion of the transfer down first, and then slowly peeled the rest of the backing down so that my transfer stayed exactly where I wanted it. Then I began the process of applying my transfer, just rubbing it down into the paint using that transfer stick while I peel back that piece of vellum, just being careful to make sure that all of my transfer is adhered. Now on this side, I did just kind of burnish it in with my fingers so that I could move on to the other side. And for the other side, I had already picked out another portion of the transfer set. This one I had a little addition I wanted to make to it. So I put that down first because you can layer your transfers, but you want to make sure that whatever is in the background goes down first and then build up from there. So I'm putting this little piece down and then applying it as usual, and then I'm going to go over that with the bigger piece of transfer, just trying to blend in the little stems so that they're covered. One of the things I love about Sweet Pickins milk paint is how easy transfers stick to it. It just makes this process relatively simple and it goes by pretty fast. Once I had my transfers applied, I went ahead and grabbed a small piece of the vellum and I went over the transfer really, really well, just rubbing it down into the paint to make sure that I didn't have any wrinkles or air bubbles and that everything was completely adhered. Once I had my sides finished, I did go ahead and add some transfers to the back portions of this little phone stand as well. Once I was finished applying my transfers and they were all well burnished in, it was time to seal my paint. Now, Sweet Pickins milk paint, just like the DIY paint, does need a sealer, and one of my favorites is their oil waxes. For this piece, I wanted to give it a little bit of patina, but I didn't want it to be too dark and dingy, so I went ahead and mixed half clear oil wax and half dark oil wax, and then I am going over the entire piece, applying that mixture with a little chip brush, just making sure that I get every little scrap of paint covered. Once the oil wax has sat on my piece for about 15 to 20 minutes, I just come back in with some dry shop towels and wipe back the excess oil wax. You want to make sure while you're doing this that you're cleaning the piece as best you can, getting as much of that oil wax off as possible. I like to go over it a few times. I end up using a few of my shop towels during this process, but you really want to do your best to get it as clean as you can. And keep in mind also that you can leave fingerprints behind in the oil wax that will dry there and be permanent. So be careful to always wipe back your fingerprints as well. Once I'm finished with this process, my little phone stand is done. I absolutely love how it came together, and I hope you guys do too. For my second project, I am finally finishing this little chair that I painted a while back, and I have had the pieces of the cushion sitting around for a while, and it was high time that I finished it up. So I am taking my little piece of wood that was on the bottom of the chair, well, the seat of the chair, and I'm using that as a template to cut out some foam. I tried using my razor blade at first and it was kind of making a mess. I found that my big serrated knife worked much better. Next up, I'm going to cut out a piece of this batting just to soften that foam top a little bit. So again, just using my piece of wood from the seat as a guide to mark where I need to cut and then cutting that out. Now the fabric that I'm using for this chair is fabric that I've had for quite some time. I had bought it a couple years ago to use on a dining set, and I just have had this scrap piece in my stash for a while, and I thought it would be a beautiful addition to the shop. I love the colors in it, and so I'm just cutting out that piece of fabric. Now I also wanted to go ahead and to cover up the bottom of the seat. The wood was kind of ugly. It had been stapled and messed around with quite a bit. So I just wanted to make sure that it was as pretty as I could make it. So I'm using a piece of muslin and I am steaming the wrinkles out of it so that I can lay that down over the wood. And then I'm just adhering that with some spray glue, just making sure that it stays put. Once I have that finished, I'm grabbing out my piece of fabric and steaming that nice and flat as well, making sure that I don't have any wrinkles. And then I'm laying my piece over the top of the fabric, just making sure that everything is nice and smooth, and then I can finally go in and start stapling. Now I'm folding over the edges of my fabric as I go, just so that I have a nice clean edge all the way around. And I start on one side and put a few staples in, and then I flip it around to the other side so that I can kind of pull it tight and add in the rest of my staples. And once I finish up my first two sides, I basically do exactly the same thing on the other two as well. For my corners, I am just pulling all the fabric nice and tight, making sure that it goes straight up to the corner and that I don't have any wrinkles. And then I am stapling that down with 3 staples and then cutting off the little tail. And I am just doing that same procedure for all 4 of my corners on this chair. The The last step, of course, is to screw my seat back down to my chair, and then my chair will be finished. I absolutely love the way that this came together. I'm so glad it's finally done, and I hope you guys like it too. For projects for today's video. I hope you guys liked both of them. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. Just give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I would love it also if you would leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of today's projects. And then the next thing, I wanted to show you the new beautiful decoupage papers by Roycycled Treasures. I finally just got them in. There are some in there that I'm kind of excited to work with, the paintable ones. I don't know if you guys have ever used any of them. I know she came out with the first paintable floral in her last release. This one has 4 of them, and I'm going to show those to you. I'm going to try and remember all their names. I have a cheat sheet here in case I don't. And so we'll start with this one. This one's called, see, already I'm forgetting. This one's called Paintable Fall. Okay, so Paintable Fall is fantastic, you guys. There is just so much on this one paper. Beautiful pumpkins, all sorts of gorgeousness. And these you put on, and then from what I have seen, Royce do is she takes like some of the DIY paint and mixes it with liquid patina or Big Top to make it a little bit more transparent, and then she uses that to paint these designs. So you've got a top coat mixed in with your paint, so you don't have to worry about coating it over it, and you can still see the design underneath. So I am determined to use one of these soon, so stay tuned for that. There will be a paintable decoupage paper in the future. This one's called Paintable Christmas. Sorry I have to take so much time to unfold these. I should have done that ahead of time. I was just worried that they would just fly all over the cottage if I unfolded them too soon. So this one has all sorts of beautiful birds, pine cones, holly, poinsettias, all sorts of beautiful things to paint. So another really fun one for Christmas. Then this one is called Paintable Harvest, and it has more of like the fruits and things like that for fall. Looks like some birds as well. So just really pretty. Such a gorgeous design. So excited to use one of these. I keep going around and looking at all of my stuff, trying to pick out items that these would be good on. So hopefully I'll find something soon. This one is called, I believe, Paintable Blooms. Oh goodness, there we go. So this one has butterflies and all sorts of beautiful, looks like mums or peonies or something. Just really, really pretty. I'm looking at the back side, so it's hard to tell, but just a very pretty design again. I can never remember how these are folded. I'll just set that down. I'll fold it later. This one is called, I believe it's called Fall Flock Masterboard. Is that what it's called? Yes, Fall Flock Masterboard. Flock, I would assume, meaning for all the birds that are on here. Jeez, oh Pete, you guys. There we go. Tons of birds, tons of butterflies, feathers, there's a turkey, just all sorts of beautiful options in this paper for some sort of decor. Absolutely love this one. It's another one that I want to put in my own stash. Then, now they're falling on the floor. This one is called Christmas Wallpaper, and this is one that I wanted to show you guys because there are 2 different designs in this one paper. So you get the pretty little red and green Christmas flowers, and then you get this gorgeous plaid on the other side. So it's halvesies. So just kind of fun there. Salty is enjoying laying on the paper down on the floor. Then this one is called Christmas Flock Masterboard. Another gorgeous one with lots of birds. Excuse the noisy car going by. Okay, come on now. There we go. Okay, Christmas Flock Masterboard. Another absolutely gorgeous one. So many beautiful designs. You can put the little bell on an ornament, one of the birds on an ornament. You could make just a pretty little picture in a frame with a couple of these. They're just so pretty. I love the fact that they're so well colored. They're nice and vibrant and just beautiful. Ready for your Christmas crafting. Then I thought this one was awesome. Everybody's always looking for notes, you know, musical notes in like books and things, and this brings them all to you in one big sheet of paper. So there's small notes, big notes, they go in every direction. It's just a beautiful paper. You could add a little bit of staining to this with some coffee or some of the dark and decrepit liquid patina to make them look a little bit more aged. Whatever you want to do with it, but it's just an absolutely gorgeous paper for using as a background for something. Just a really nice concept. Then lastly, this one is just pretty simple. It is just called Classical Masterboard. Easy enough. And it's, again, kind of a neutral, just nice background. Just got some beautiful images in it. Very kind of Grecian, I think. Just all sorts of little things that you could use. So again, a very pretty paper. And that is it for the new release, you guys. So I have all 9 of these papers available, not only in my shop, but on my website too. And that is www.theeclecticcottagesspokane.com. And I do carry DIY paint and products, Sweet Pickins milk paint and products, as well as these Roycycled Treasures decoupage papers, and of course some Redesign with Prima. Next video, I will probably be showing you the brand new molds that I have in. They go live tomorrow. So if you're in need of molds or you want to see some beautiful Christmas ideas, check those out again at my website. Anyway, that is all I have for you guys for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot. And especially if you do subscribe to my channel. And then, of course, just hit the little notification bell so you don't miss anything. Anyway, I will see you guys back here on Saturday with a shop tour and the new molds by Redesign with Prima. Until then, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week and beginning of the weekend, and I will see you then. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. Bye.